Companions, welcome. Elephant, many of you may have seen them even close up in a game park somewhere. And in game parks, they become used to vehicles and one can get quite close to them. Although I believe one should never, even in a car, get to within the personal space of any animal. It's inconsiderate and it could also be dangerous. Animals are unpredictable. But in the wilderness, one can also get quite close to them on foot because they don't have very good eyesight. And although they can hear extremely well and they have very keen smell, if one approaches them from downwind while they are feeding, because they make a lot of noise when they're feeding, they're noisy animals, one can get quite close to them without them being aware of you. Elephant also make sounds by which one can find out where they are. I'm sure you must have heard, maybe on television or for real, the rumbling they do. And this is how they communicate. Of course, they also trumpet, which is that loud scream of rage or also to communicate. And then sometimes when they rest over the hot part of the day, they stand in the shade, they flap their ears to cool themselves down because their ears have got a high density of blood vessels and they flap their ears to cool themselves down. And you can sometimes hear them flapping their ears like the sails of a yacht. However, I thought I'd share with you some of the signs that indicate the presence of elephant in the veld. Let's start with their tracks. I'm sure you must have seen in the road as you drive through the game park, the huge oval or even almost round patches that they leave behind, sometimes almost a foot across. Here are the tracks of an extremely big bull that I came across in the north of Mozambique. His tracks are 2 foot lengths long and I wear a number 8. So this is huge. It was a really big bull. I tracked him, but I couldn't actually catch up with him, so I gave up eventually. I wanted to actually just get a glimpse of him. And this is quite interesting. These are the elephant tracks in the mud. They walked here when the mud was, of course, soft, and they sank into the mud. And now it's a very serious hazard. If you're driving over this floodplain and the grass is long and you can't see these things, they're like landmines, you could lose your suspension here very easily. This is a pile of elephant droppings. It's not a particularly big animal, medium-sized. A big one would be a good quarter or a third bigger. You can see how coarse the material is. They eat very coarse material, of course, from the browsing and the coarse grass that they eat. And they don't chew their food very well. They also don't have a very efficient digestive system, and that's why it comes out so coarse. Here, the dung beetles are busy on a ball of elephant dung. They struggle a bit to get in. When it's a tight ball, they need it to be scattered a bit. Still damp, but scattered. And then that's ideal for them. And for the scattering, they need the francolin with their strong legs. This is so interesting. This, I hope you can see it, is a track of a dung beetle rolling his little ball of dung. And he rolled it, and rolled it, and rolled it. God knows how far he came, but here, he rolled it and he buried it here with the eggs inside to be hatched. Isn't that fascinating? This is a pile of elephant dung. It is probably from a young elephant, and it's old, it's months old, so it's not interesting from a proximity point of view. But if you look at these nuts that are in the dung, they were eaten by the elephant
when the seeds were fresh. And it comes from a manketti tree. And manketti trees bear these fruits, and they have a pulp around them, which the elephants love, and they eat it. And then they swallow the nuts, and that comes out with the dung. And local people will then gather these, and they will crack them open, and inside is the actual seed, and that they grind into a kind of a meal, and they make a sort of nutritious porridge from it.
This is where elephant had dug for water in a dry riverbed. They dig with their feet and their tusks, and other animals come and utilize these water holes, such as us, but we were the first animals here, and we were very lucky that the water was clean, and we were able to fill our canisters from it. This is where elephant had mud bathed. They love the mud bath. Wet mud sticks to their skins, and then as it dries, it keeps them cool for long after they've left the water. And it also smothers parasites and ticks and so on their skin, and in this way maintain themselves healthy. Elephant pluck the leaves with their trunk, but they also love tree bark. So they will break the bark with their tusks and strip it off with their trunks, and this is also a sure sign of the presence of elephant. They will also break off twigs, and they chew the twig until they've broken the bark and stripped it from the twig, and then they drop the stripped twig. You often see these saplings lying around, sure sign of the presence of elephant. Elephant also love roots. They kick open the roots with their feet. Sometimes they open them with their trunk, and then they will lift the roots with their tusks. The elephant all over the veld here are making these shallow scoops in the soil, and they're after this plant. The plant, although it's small, has roots quite big, and it's this root that they're looking for. Now, an elephant, like humans, are left or right-handed, and you will often see that one tusk is more used than the other, which shows what side its preference is, and they will then lift the roots out and take it with their trunk and eat it. Now, as many of you must have heard, elephant can be highly destructive to the environment. They, of course, consume a lot of material, so they strip trees and even grass from an area. But they also tend to push over trees randomly without really even utilizing them. It's as if there's a kind of a willful destructive behavior, or kind of a frustration or a behavior where they start to simply just break trees and push them over. And here you can see what it looks like. And eventually, this is what the veld looks like. And now, of course, this is not good not for the elephant, also not for the other browsers and grazers, and also not for the animals, the predators that depend on them in turn. So an overpopulation of elephant is a really, really serious problem. Now, of course, in modern times, with game restricted to conservation areas, this is a very hard problem to manage. But it is extremely important to keep control of not only elephant populations, but in these restricted areas, these unnatural areas, of all populations of game. It's a problem that a lot has been written and is still being written and is still being studied. Companions, I hope you found this about the signs of elephant in the veld interesting, and I hope you will join me again next week. Good luck.